passionate about two things that happen in this space. The one is collaboration, which is why it's really important to us to be collaborating both with the Centre and the ITPSA, because I think that what is so powerful about the digital economy is that we are poised to have bigger conversations rather than conversations in silos. We're going to be talking a little bit about that today, but still, even though sometimes we have everything at our fingertips, we still tend to just stick to what it is that we do, hide in our own little worlds and not collaborate. So this for me is a perfect example, a small start, but a powerful start. So thank you all for being here at the beginning of what I know will grow. So that's the first thing I'm passionate about, is collaboration. And the second is creating platforms for talented women who I believe are a little backward about coming forward. And whenever I find an industry or a platform where there's an unusual concentration of talented women, I'm motivated to start a new platform or a conference, which is why Wired Women was started about 7 years ago. It started off much smaller. In fact, it was probably not much bigger than this. It's hugely grown in size, a lot of support as well from Barry. But I think it's really important that when we talk about gender equality, we start looking at the industries who can really benefit from some of the diversity of talent that we have in this space. But still, we need to remember that this conversation has been going for a while. We chatted about it a little bit before this panel started, and we're still having to have it. Where are all the women? And unfortunately, where are all the women is a conversation that we continue to have in many industries, and this one is probably, I wouldn't say one of the slowest, but considering the level of talent that we have available, it's disappointing that we haven't fast-tracked more. So let's look at that. Why do you think that it's taking time?
When we think of tech entrepreneurial visionaries, we think of Steve Jobs, we think of Bill Gates, we think of Elon Musk, we think of Mark Zuckerberg. There are no women that come to mind. And because of that, it's seen as a male industry.
Yes, we know of the guys and the guys you've mentioned, but it's because we speak about them so much. In this precinct, we have a lot of startups, and there are ladies who run startups, but they are not making as much noise about their companies.
We have a male idea of what software development is, and thus we want to fit into that idea without realizing that one needs to kind of have a psychological or social change for you to just not want to adhere to the conversations that are being had by males.
So what kind of action plan can we brainstorm, hack, come up with here so that we have some steps going forward?
We do not actually support each other enough. And I think if we can change that, and if we can there is this boys club, but what if we start supporting each other and actually start building up each other? I believe that is going to make a big difference.
Social, cultural things that have been embedded in some of our young girls that don't allow them to come to feel software development, just to name a few, but engineering, being a doctor and all of that, because it's it's just boys.
So we have teachers saying you should be doctors, you should be accountants, because that's what the teachers know. A lot of teachers that I've encountered at schools are afraid of technology.
We really need to break down this misconception that software development is for geeks. Because it's okay for a guy to be seen as a geek, they don't care. But no woman wants to be seen as a geek. And it really is a profession. It's not a geeky thing anymore.
That's why it's important that we have as much inclusivity and as much diversity as possible, so that all girls find someone not necessarily who look like them, but who they can relate to.
I know from the school that I came from that no one knows what software development is. So there should be this huge, and I mean massive drive on the point of speaking out that goes out to these schools, that go out to these programs or institutions or whatnot, that tell them that this is what's happening.
That's what we really try to do as well, to just collaborate more. I think there's a lot of people trying to do a lot of good things, but if we can get the word out there more, collaborate more, support each other more, I think that's a great start.
If we do something together, the impact is going to be a whole lot greater. So the ego games need to die down a bit so that we reach a whole lot more people.
We want to keep this thing going, leading up to a conference at the end of the year, White Women, but then carrying on beyond that and growing its strength. So I think this isn't a once-off, this is start of a process, and we hope that by this time next year we'll need to book the Great Hall to fit everyone who's going to be
I'm sure we will.
at the conference.